They handed my brother a $200,000 check and called me a stain on the family. 15 years later, they were begging security to let them into the mansion I built with my own two hands. Honey, pour yourself a massive glass of something strong, red, white, or sparkling, I don't care, because the tea I am about to spill is piping hot and it involves the kind of karma that usually only happens in movies. We are talking about entitlement so thick you could cut it with a knife, and a revenge so cold it'll give you frostbite. Let's set the scene. Imagine a gloomy, rainy Tuesday in the Pacific Northwest. I'm Caleb. I'm 39 years old and I own a high-end custom metal fabrication and architectural design firm in Seattle. I make the kind of staircases and structural art you see in magazines. But if you ask my parents 20 years ago, I was basically a waste of oxygen who liked to play in the dirt. My parents, Richard and Linda, were the definition of champagne problems. Dad was a corporate litigation attorney, shark in a suit, literally never smiled unless he was billing someone. Mom was a gallery curator who treated her children like art exhibits. If you weren't perfect, you were put in storage. And then there was Preston, my younger brother, the golden child, the messiah of the suburbs. Preston was 3 years younger than me, but he was the sun, moon, and stars. He played the violin, he was captain of the debate team, and he had the personality of a wet cardboard box. But my parents didn't care about personality. They cared about prestige. I was the glitch in their matrix. I didn't care about mock trial. I liked taking things apart. By the time I was 10, I could strip a bicycle down to the bearings and rebuild it blindfolded. I loved the smell of grease, the heat of a welding torch, the feeling of making something real. To Richard and Linda, this was horrifying. I remember I was 12 and I fixed the automatic gate at the end of our driveway because the repair guy couldn't come for 3 days. I rewired the sensor and aligned the track. I was so proud. I ran inside, covered in oil, smiling like an idiot. Dad looked at me over his Wall Street Journal and said, "Go wash your hands. You look like the help. If the neighbors see you, they'll think we can't afford a proper serviceman." That was the dynamic. Preston got tutors. I got told to clean up my mess. Preston got praise. I got ignored. By the time high school hit, the divide was a canyon. Preston was being groomed for Harvard Law. I was spending my weekends at a local scrapyard learning how to weld from a guy named Old Man Sal. I built a custom go-kart frame from scratch, geometry perfect, welds like a stack of dimes. I brought it home to show them. Mom sighed, looked at her manicured nails, and said, "It's very industrial, Caleb. Just please keep that junk behind the shed. We're hosting the art gala committee next week, and I don't need the yard looking like a landfill." A landfill. My passion, my art was their trash. The breaking point was graduation. When Preston graduated high school 3 years later, they threw him a party at the country club that cost more than my first 3 cars combined. He got a brand new Audi. When I graduated, we went to a chain Italian restaurant. I got a set of luggage. Not designer luggage, basic, ugly luggage. I told them I had been accepted into a premier trade school for advanced welding and metallurgy. I was excited. I had a scholarship. Dad put his fork down. The clink against the china sounded like a gunshot. "We are not paying for you to learn how to be a glorified mechanic, Caleb. That is below this family's station." "I have a scholarship," I said. "I don't need your money." "It's not about the money," Mom hissed, looking around to see if anyone heard us. "It's about the reputation. What do we tell our friends? That our son is a welder? It's embarrassing." 2 days after graduation, I came home to find 3 black trash bags on the front porch. My luggage set was next to them. The locks on the front door had been changed. There was a note taped to the door, typed on Dad's legal letterhead. "Since you have decided to pursue a path of mediocrity that we cannot condone, you can pursue it independently. You have 30 days to remove the rest of your items from the garage, or they will be disposed of. Good luck." They evicted me at 18 because I wanted to build things instead of sue people. I didn't cry. I didn't bang on the door. I felt this cold, hard resolve settle in my chest, like molten steel hardening. I grabbed those trash bags, threw them in the back of my rusted out pickup truck, and I drove away. I slept in that truck for 3 months. I showered at the YMCA. I ate instant noodles dry because I couldn't afford hot water, and I worked. Lord, did I work. Fast forward 20 years. I didn't just become a welder, I became the welder. I started Ironclad Aesthetics. At first, it was just me fixing fences. Then it was custom gates. Then I met Elena. Elena was an ER doctor, smart, fierce, and completely unimpressed by shallow people. She saw my hands covered in burns and scars, and she didn't see the help. She saw an artist. She pushed me to take bigger risks. We started doing architectural steel, floating staircases for tech billionaires, custom structural beams for museums. The business exploded. I wasn't just making a living, I was making a fortune, but I stayed quiet. I drove a heavy-duty truck. I wore Carhartt t-shirts. I didn't flash it. Meanwhile, Preston, the golden child, went to Harvard. He got the law degree. He got the high-powered job in Dad's network, and he was miserable. He developed a gambling problem, went through 2 divorces, and was bleeding money trying to keep up appearances in a city he couldn't afford. But my parents still worshiped the ground he walked on. About 5 years ago, I made the mistake of trying to extend an olive branch. Elena convinced me. They're getting older, she said. Just go to dinner, see if they've changed. So we went. Big mistake. Huge. We met them at a steakhouse. I was 34. I had just closed a $2 million contract for a library downtown. I was feeling good. The entire dinner, they talked about Preston. Preston's new firm, Preston's new girlfriend, Preston's challenges with the market. Then Dad clears his throat. He looks at me, then at Elena, and says, "We have some news. We've decided to help Preston purchase a penthouse in the city. The market is tough, and he needs a stable base to make partner. We're gifting him the down payment, $200,000. I choked on my water. 200,000? I asked. You're giving him 200 grand? It's an investment in his future, Mom said, smiling that fake, tight smile. I've been saving for a house for 3 years, I said, keeping my voice calm. I built my business from zero. You guys locked me out at 18. You've never offered me a dime, and you're handing him a check for a house. And here it comes. If you are sitting down, hold on to your chair. If you aren't subscribed yet, hit that button right now because the audacity levels are about to break the meter." Dad wiped his mouth with a linen napkin, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "Caleb, let's be realistic. We subsidize excellence. Preston has a legacy career. He is a professional. You work with your hands. You chose a blue-collar life. People like you don't need penthouses. You're comfortable in your mediocrity. We can't reward someone for aiming low." Mediocrity. I looked at Elena. She looked like she was about to vault across the table and perform a tracheotomy on him with a steak knife. I stood up. I didn't yell. I pulled out my wallet, threw a $100 bill on the table to cover my meal, and said, "You're right, Dad. I don't need your money. But remember this moment. Remember that you called me mediocre, because I'm never sitting at a table with you again." We walked out. I blocked their numbers before we even got to the car. That was the fuel. If I was motivated before, now I was possessed. I bought a plot of land, 7 acres on a cliffside overlooking the Sound. Impossible terrain. No one else wanted it because it required massive structural engineering to build there. Perfect. I designed the house myself. It was my masterpiece. A cantilevered structure of glass, concrete, and blackened steel hanging off the edge of the world. I welded the support beams myself. I designed the massive 20-foot pivot door for the entrance. It took 3 years to build. When it was done, it was featured in Architectural Digest. It was valued at north of $8 million. And the best part, it was a fortress. Keypad entry, 8-foot steel perimeter fence, which I built, and a security system that could rival the Pentagon. I was happy. Elena and I were expecting our first child, a little girl. Life was perfect. And then the economy took a little dip. And apparently, so did Preston's luck. I hadn't spoken to them in 4 years. One rainy afternoon, I'm in my workshop. I built a 3,000 square foot detached workshop on the property, and my phone rings. Unknown number. I answer. "Caleb, it's Preston." He sounds like he's been crying or drinking or both. "What do you want, Preston?" I heard about the house," he says. "I saw the magazine. Insane, man. What do you want? I'm in trouble, Cal. The firm let me go. They're saying I embezzled, but it was a misunderstanding. Anyway, I lost the penthouse. Mom and Dad's money is gone. I have nowhere to go. I was wondering, you have that guest house on the property? The article mentioned a guest house. I almost laughed. You want to live with me? Just for a few months until I get back on my feet. I can help you with, I don't know, the business side of things, managing your books. My books are managed by a CFO, Preston. A CFO who doesn't embezzle. Please, he begged. Mom and Dad are tapped out. They leveraged their retirement to help me with the legal fees. We're all drowning here. You chose a path of excellence, Preston, I said, quoting our father. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I'm just a mediocre welder. I couldn't possibly help a professional like you. I hung up. I knew they were coming. I could feel it in my bones. 2 weeks later, it's a Saturday. I'm in the living room with Elena, who is 8 months pregnant, trying to assemble a crib. The gate intercom buzzes. I pull up the camera feed on my iPad. There they are, the unholy trinity. Dad's Mercedes is idling at the gate. It looks older now, a bit dented. Mom is in the passenger seat, looking frantic. Preston is in the back. I press the talk button. This is private property. Identify yourself. Dad's voice crackles through the speaker. He sounds angry, but there's fear underneath it. Caleb, open this gate immediately. It's your father. It's raining, and we need to come inside. State your business, I said, cold, robotic. Don't play games with me, Dad shouted. We know you're in there. Preston showed us the article. You have 5 empty bedrooms in that monstrosity. Your brother needs a place to stay, and frankly, so do we. The bank is seizing our house on Monday. Whoa, I didn't know it was that bad. They leveraged their house for Preston, and he lost it all. That sounds like a problem for a legacy family, I said. Not a problem for a mechanic. Mom leaned over, shouting toward the intercom, Caleb, how can you be so cruel? We raised you. We gave you life. You owe us. We are family. Family? I laughed, and it echoed in the empty intercom silence. Family is who you handed a $200,000 check to while calling me a failure. You kicked me out with trash bags, remember? You told me to succeed independently. Well, I did, and you failed independently. Open this gate or I will sue you for parental support, Dad screamed. I know the laws. You can't leave us destitute while you live in a palace. Actually, I can, I said, because I have 0 financial ties to you. You made sure of that when you disowned me at 18. Now get off my property or I'm calling the police. I cut the feed. But they didn't leave. Oh no, you guys, they sat there. They started honking the horn, laying on it. Then Preston got out and started shaking the gate. My custom fabricated reinforced steel gate. Good luck with that, buddy. Then Mom got out. And this is where it gets pathetic. She started taking photos. She's standing in the rain, hair plastered to her face, taking selfies with my house in the background. I watched on the camera, confused. What is she doing? 10 minutes later, my phone starts blowing up. It's my friends, my clients. They're sending me screenshots of a Facebook post. Mom posted the photo. The caption read, "So proud of our son, Caleb. After years of us supporting his dreams and funding his startup, he finally finished the family estate. Can't wait to move into the guest wing next week and help with the new grandbaby." Proud parents, generational wealth, family first. I saw red. The audacity, the lies. She was trying to publicly claim she funded me. She was trying to shame me into letting them in by announcing she was moving in. Make sure you're subscribed because the update I'm about to drop is going to make you scream. I didn't open the gate. I opened my laptop. I called my lawyer, George. George is a shark. George makes my dad look like a goldfish. George, I said, my mother is publicly claiming financial ownership of my company and property to solicit loans and save face. She is also trespassing. Say less, George said. I turned the intercom back on. Attention, I said. I have just forwarded the security footage of you trespassing and screenshots of your fraudulent Facebook post to the sheriff's department and my legal team. Deputies are en route. If you are still here in 5 minutes, you will be arrested for trespassing and harassment. Dad went pale. I saw it on the high-def camera. He knows the law. He knows that claiming financial interest in a business you didn't fund to secure credit or social standing can be construed as fraud. He scrambled back into the car. He screamed at Preston to get in. They peeled out of the driveway just as the sheriff's cruiser turned the corner. The fallout. I posted my own update on my business page that night. Just text, black background. For the record, Ironclad Aesthetics was built with zero outside capital. My parents, Richard and Linda, provided no financial support, evicted me at 18, and have had no contact with me for years. Any claims that they funded this business or this property are fraudulent. We are currently pursuing legal action regarding defamation and trespassing. It went viral in our local community. The art gala crowd Mom loved so much. They saw it. The country club, they saw it. It destroyed them because in their world, being broke is bad, but being a liar and a leech is worse. Update 1. 2 weeks later, I got a letter. Not from Dad, but from Preston. He's living in a motel. Dad and Mom lost the house. They are staying with Mom's sister in a 1-bedroom apartment. The letter was begging. He said Mom is catatonic with embarrassment because she was kicked off the museum board. Dad is too depressed to work. Preston asked for $5,000 just to get a rental deposit. I sent the letter back, but inside the envelope, I put something else. A job application for an entry-level welder apprentice at my shop. Starting pay, $18 an hour. Requires heavy lifting and getting dirty. He never replied. Update 2. The birth Elena gave birth to our daughter, Maya, last week. She is beautiful, strong. The hospital security stopped a woman in the lobby trying to get to the maternity ward. It was Mom. She had flowers. She was screaming that she had a right to see her granddaughter. Security escorted her out. I watched the footage later. She looked old. She looked tired. She looked like a woman who realized she bet on the wrong horse and shot the other one. Final update, the karma. My business just won a contract to renovate the city's main concert hall. It's a massive job. Ironically, the law firm my dad used to be a partner at, the one that fired Preston, is representing the city. I had a meeting with the senior partners yesterday. One of them, an old guy who knew my dad, looked at me and said, "You're Richard's boy, aren't you? The welder?" I smiled. "I'm the owner of the firm." "Yes." He chuckled. "Your father used to talk about how worried he was about you. Said you lacked direction. Funny how things work out. By the way, we heard about his situation. Shame. If he needs a referral for bankruptcy counsel, let him know we have a pro bono clinic." A pro bono clinic. Charity. I drove home to my cliffside mansion, kissed my doctor wife, held my baby girl, and looked out at the rain. They wanted me to be a failure so bad, they practically wrote the script for it. But the thing about building things with your hands is that you learn how to build a foundation that lasts. They built their lives on appearances, and the first storm that came along washed it all away. I haven't spoken to them since the gate incident. They are blocked on everything. My daughter will never know them. She will grow up knowing that worth isn't about titles or degrees, but about character and hard work. So here's my question for you guys in the comments. Preston is apparently working at a car wash now. A mutual friend told me he looks rough and asked if I would just give him the $5,000 to get him off the street. Elena says, let him rot. I say he had 20 years to be a brother and he chose to be a snob. Am I the jerk for not throwing a lifeline to the people who tried to drown me? Let me know. And seriously, don't forget to subscribe. The drama in this family never truly sleeps.